In a small village of Africa, there lived a young girl named Amina. She was known for her vibrant spirit and radiant smile, despite the hardship she faced. Amina's family was very poor, and when her parents could no longer provide for her, they sent her to work in the household of a wealthy family in a nearby town. Her mother had hoped Amira would be treated well and that she could send back some money to help her family. Amina's new life was far from what she imagined. The family she worked for, the Adamus, were a wealthy couple with a young son named Harry. Madame Adamu, the mistress of the house, was harsh and demanding. From the moment Amina arrived, Madame Adamu never missed an opportunity to remind her of her lowly status. Amina worked tirelessly from dawn till dusk, cooking, cleaning and taking care of Harry. Despite her best efforts, nothing Amina did seems to satisfy Madame Adamu. If the food wasn't exactly to her taste, she would berate Amina. If the house wasn't spotless, she would punish her severely. Mr. Adamu, though kind and often absent due to work, was unaware of the full extent of his wife's cruelty. Amina bore the brunt of her mistress's anger silently, often crying herself to sleep in the small cramped quarter she was given in the house. One day, Amina cooked food. She served her the food. When Madame Adamu tasted the food, there was pepper in it. When she called Amina and told her about it, Amina apologized. But instead of Madame Adamu to accept the apology, she told Amina to go and bring pepper in the kitchen. When Amina came back, she collected the pepper from her and added almost all the pepper in the food she is eating and told Amina to start eating the food. Amina wanted to hesitate, but she gave her a very heavy slap which made Amina to start eating the food until she finished it. The next time you cook this kind of food for me, my next target will be in your eyes so that you'll be blind forever, Madame Adamu said in anger. Amina was unconscious. She doesn't know what to do. If she drinks water, the water will be like it's increasing everything. Her stomach also have started hurting her. But all this ended later in the evening. She saw hell that day, and nobody was there to help her. As time goes on, Mr. Adamu started noticing something, how his wife is treating their maid, and one night he called his wife and asked her why she treats Amina like a piece of trash. But instead of talking something meaningful, she started explaining how Amina doesn't do the housework, how she disrespects her and not taking care of their son Harry. Adamu wanted to caution her as the head of the house, but Madame Adamu keeps on making an excuses out of what Amina didn't do. Little Harry, though just a child, was the only source of comfort for Amina. She loved him like a brother and took care of him diligently. She sang him lullabies, played games with him, and ensured he was always happy. However, Madame Adamu was blind to Amina's kindness and dedication. She continued to treat her poorly, never acknowledging the care Amina provided for her son. One fateful day, Madame Adamu's friend Favor came to visit Madame Adamu. She saw how she maltreated Amina but couldn't say anything there. So in the office the next day, Favor asked Madame Adamu why she was treating the poor girl like a slave. But Madame Adamu replied her harshly, telling her that if she values their friendship and want them to continue, that she should keep off her eyes from Amina. Favor had no option than to change the topic of their conversation to another thing. Due to all the hatred Madame Adamu has for Amina, Amina decided to pay back. A desperate plan began to form in her mind. She started having hatred to Harry. She doesn't take care of him as usual. All this have to stop, she said to herself. I must take a revenge. This is not the first time Madame Adamu wants to kill me. I must not die in this house. The next morning, Amina went about her chores as usual, but secretly gathered a few belongings she would need for her escape. Her heart burned pounding with fears and anticipation. The day of the escape arrived. Amina woke up earlier than usual, her heart heavy with the decision she was about to make. When Madame Adamu left the house to the office, Amina seized the moment. She placed Harry in the refrigerator and closed it, leaving all the door opened, and ran out of the house. Amina ran through the streets, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know where she was going, only that she needed to go far away. She knew Madame Adamu would search for her, but she hoped she would be long gone by then. She ran until her leg couldn't carry her anymore, and then collapsed under a mango tree. Back at Adamu's household, it happens that Madame Adamu forgets an important file in the house that is needed urgently in the office. So this made Madame Adamu to rush back home immediately. But to her greatest surprise, when she approached the house, she noticed that all the doors were opened. Immediately, she ran into the house, calling Amina, but Amina is nowhere to be found. And while calling Amina, she is at the same time hearing the cry of Harry. She then followed the sound of the cry and found Harry inside the refrigerator. At this point, when she brought Harry out, Harry was at the verge of freezing. Some ice are already on his body. Immediately she picked her phone and called her husband, telling him to meet them in the hospital. So when they reached the hospital, they took care of him, and after everything, they returned home. Mr. Adamu wasn't happy at all. He blamed his wife for everything that happened. You could have had me to contend with if Harry died, you wicked woman, Mr. Adamu said. Madame Adamu cried and regretted her actions towards the poor girl Amina, but didn't know what to do. She sent out search parties to find her. Meanwhile, Amina had found refuge in a neighboring village where she met a kind-hearted woman who took care of him. The elderly woman, Mama Nkechi, listened to Amina's story with empathy. She provided Amina with a safe place to stay and helped her find work in the village. Slowly, Amina began to rebuild her life. She worked hard and saved money, hoping to one day reunite with her family. Though the scare of her past remained, Amina's spirit was unbroken. She had found a new home and, for the first time in a long while, felt a glimmer of hope for the future. She later found a good job and went to their village. She took her parents with her and started taking care of them in the city, and life continues. The morals of this story is clear. Treat people nicely because no one knows tomorrow. The story have ended. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video. See you in my next video. Bye for now.